I chair the municipal services, and today we have a pleasure and an honor to have the commissioner here. This is this one agency that will always respond to our call, and I think this is the way things supposed to. The community is supposed to really be able to enjoy using the commissioner for the purpose of our own pleasure too. So thank you for coming here. I think we're gonna introduce ourselves. I'm sure we can start. Mr. Bond.
Robert Barnes, committee member, Community Board 1.
Alberto Milan, Chief of Staff to the Board Commissioner.
Melody Rodriguez, Principal Administrative Associate.
I didn't hear.
Melody Rodriguez, Principal Administrative Associate, Commissioner's Office.
Wow. Justenia Ponte, Bronxborough Commissioner for New York City Parks.
Rebecca Burns, Chief of Architecture and Engineering at Capitol for Parks.
Stephen Palmer's Community Coordinator, Bronx Community Board 1.
Jackie Lavin, Parks Capital Architecture.
Lisa Wise, Director of Architecture for Parks.
Usha Sakai, reporter for the Mount Haven Herald.
Boji De Jesus, Community Board Member.
Anthony Jordan, District Manager to the Board. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Chairman, let's remind everyone that our meeting is being live broadcast on our YouTube channel. Please silence all electronic equipment and telephone services. And please remember to speak clearly, concisely, so that for people who are joining us on our social media, Facebook Live, Instagram, and on our YouTube channel. Welcome, Commissioner and team. Mr. Chairman.
Wait, can I say something?
Yes.
I wanna apologize if you start hearing me coughing because I'm getting over a cold. So anybody that's listening to us live.
We welcome your mask if you like one. Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. But listen, I know the commissioner, you already had a long day. We're gonna get this really swift and quick so we can get some rest and get back to work tomorrow. So I'm sure you're here for the presentation on St. Municipal. That has been a concern for us. And I'm hoping that you came with some answer to our last time question.
Sure.
So the floor is yours.
Sure. So I am here joined by Rebecca Burns, who's going to actually give a presentation on the status of St. Mary's Recreation Center. So we will show exactly what we went over in March and see the progress that we've had. So if you would just be patient with us, we'll go through the presentation and then we'll welcome questions, throughout, depending, or as they're coming along. So Rebecca, if you want to take us away.
Sure. So, as the commissioner said, we're gonna basically go back to where we were in March and the same conversation we had, and we have what we've done, where the progress is from each of those slides of what we presented you in March. So back, just to remind everybody, the original contract base scope was $8.3 million. It included the full ground floor lobby reconstruction. It included ADA compliant to the cellar and the second and third floors. And that's where we're building a brand new elevator and shaft through the building up to the roof. The reconstruction of the men's and the women's restrooms on the second floor, and a new fire alarm system throughout. What we had shared with you in March was that during construction, the original OTW was in May 2022. And the minute we started with construction, we had a few little delays in there. One was to make sure that we kept the center open for the park summer camp. And then while we were in construction, we found additional asbestos, and we discussed how that can really affect our project schedule, because we can't really do any work until we abate that all the asbestos that was in I think it was mainly in the lobby area. And then we went over several of the issues that we found during construction, which we'll go over again, which I'll just summarize here is water infiltration. There was an electrical switchgear issue. There was additional water infiltration on the exterior facade. There was deteriorating door frames throughout the whole building. And there was some facade masonry deterioration. We had anticipated the completion date to be in April of 2025. As we have gone through the construction of looking and investigation and more design work on this, we are now looking at an early 2026 reopening. And I'm sure there's a lot of questions around that, and we're happy to go through that. I don't want to just lay it there, but if we could just go through the presentation, or if you want to, I think that might answer some of the questions, unless you want to.
Go ahead,
Okay.
then we can always go back to it.
Okay, so just to update you on construction, I know everybody's been sort of asking for some walkthroughs, but it's really a liability concern, but some of these are images of our construction progress to date. So at the top, we start seeing some of the facade work that's been done and some of the window work that's been done. You can see some of the on the right, the glass block was installed. I think it was like a very specific glass block that we had to get from Italy or something. Where? France. Okay. Lower on the two lower pictures are some of the really intense work that's happening to put in this elevator. When we started to excavate, we hit bedrock, which was slightly unexpected we didn't have it in the geotechnical report, and so that caused some delays. We had to do some further engineering, but you can see the scale of a person and how much they've tugged down for this has really been a pretty intense construction, and additional engineering has had to go into it. But in the end, we will get a fully ADA accessible building. On the second floor, that's where the shaft is going to come up through on the left side. These are progress on the new bathrooms. You can see that they're tiled, the flooring is done, a lot of the finishes are done. They have to put in the fixtures, finish the lighting, just do some more finish work. So there's a lot of progress done on that. And then the fire alarm system has been completed throughout. This just summarizes sort of the additional scope items and where we are in the progress. I think we have a slide for each of them, so I'll just go through each of them. The next slide. So one of the major findings was some of the during Ida and some of the stormwater that came in through the basement and how it affected the boilers, you can see. So we had to do some additional testing and additional design to figure out exactly where the water's coming from, how it's coming in, how we can mediate that. And basically we've done all the investigation work and the design is still in progress to make sure that we can at least take out the majority of the water when a storm happens down here. For the electrical switchgear room, you can sort of see up in the left corner, the switchgear was deteriorating, mainly because of the picture on the right, where the water was infiltrating into that space down in the cellar. So we went through and we redesigned to get the new electrical switchgear and to add additional waterproofing to that area. The design is complete. The design has been handed over to the construction team. We're negotiating with the construction team, and we're about to we're looking to purchase the equipment. It is a very long lead item, the electrical equipment. So we're trying to push the contractor to buy that as soon as possible so that we can get it processed. The waterproofing can get done before that equipment comes in. Okay, and then we found some additional water infiltration issues at the building envelope around the building. And so what we've done here is we did some additional investigations on where the water was coming in and how we could alleviate that. Right now, we've gotten feedback from our designer that we would extend the waterproofing down at the footing down into the cellar, where they're finalizing the drawings and they're going to hand it over to us. So the design is just getting finished, then we give it over to the contractor and the contractor can negotiate with us and then work on that work. We originally called for just, there were no door frames that were going to be changed out in this contract. And when we went in, the door frames were considerably more deteriorated than they originally were. We had our designer go in and survey all the doors. The design has been completed on that. We're changing all the door frames, right? That are, yeah. And so that design has been handed over to the contractor, and the construction is in progress. For the facade masonry restoration, we had to do additional sounding and have an additional contractor come in and do some sounding on the facade to see where there were issues and hand that information over to the designer. We've gone through a couple of different iterations back and forth with the designer on what the best solution is for this, weighing out our funding, weighing out timelines, weighing out when we can open for the community. We have a solution, the design is being completed, and we are about to hand that over to the contractor. And then this is just landing on, the end product of what St. Mary's the entrance will look like in the end. And this is just one more about the inside, the lobby.
Right on
And
cue.
then Pharrell came at the perfect time.
Chief Farrell Coates, our Chief of Recreation.
Chief,
Yes, apologies, traffic was
Chief of
crazy.
Recreation for the Bronx.
Recreation.
Perfect timing.
So, as you can see from the slide, we've tried to stay engaged and busy in the community while the center has been closed, mostly through several seasonal programs, primarily the Kids in Motion program, which is a program where we have a recreation professional in the park seasonally from April until October, 5 days a week. Just want to pull up some numbers really quickly, but I was driving. This past season, we served roughly 17,000 youths during that time period.
Nice.
We did, I believe it was 3 Movies Under the Stars events. Those events, give me 1 second, I can tell you exactly, but those events served roughly 1,200 people. We had the Urban Park Ranger program that also operated at that location. That program worked in conjunction with Movies Under the Stars. The Public Programs Division of New York City Parks was able to get a New York Community Trust grant. That grant allowed us to facilitate movies in conjunction with the Rangers program. They did workshops and weekend programs about environmental issues. And we also partnered with secondary service providers to give information to the community about drug abuse, substance abuse, and resources such as that. We also had the Playmobile, which is a mobile recreation unit. It's essentially 2 recreation professionals with a van full of fun. They drive around, they show up at different locations. They frequented St. Mary's, I want to say at least 12 times over the course of the summer. They also operate seasonally. Their season ends in October as well, so that's a April through October season as well. I believe that unit had somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 youth served. And then finally, we did offer one family fun day in July that was sponsored by Councilwoman Ayala. The turnout for that event was roughly 300 people. So all told, it's not what we tried to do when St. Mary's was open. I believe membership was somewhere around 7,000-ish. So you consider on a week in and week out basis, you might get somewhere around 1,300, 1,400, 1,500 people. But without a building this past year, we were able to serve, over 20,000 youth in the community. So we're trying to make an impact as best we can.
That's for summer.
That's from that whole season. So the April to October season.
Yeah.
Most of it is in the summer though, because you got to consider kids in school.
Well, even if we had a building, you would sit doing what you're doing there. Right.
Honestly, to a lesser extent, the lack of a building means that we have to put more resources into the area to try to make up for the fact that we did not have a building. Had we had a building, we probably would have allocated some of those days to other neighborhoods where we just don't have a presence. We only have 6 recreation centers in the borough. Most of them are located in the southern part of the Bronx. There's one on the west-hand side, which is Kwame Torrey. We really don't have anything on the eastern part, the northern parts. So where we don't have recreation centers, we try to put our mobile assets in those communities just to spread what we can. But understanding that, the building's been closed for so long, we decided to focus on it and we'll continue to do so until the building reopens.
Thank you very much. And I think that,
At the end of your presentation?
That's the end of the
Yes,
presentation.
well, one of the things that I'm gonna be speaking here as a community member, as somebody that also uses Samuel. One of the concern that I have is just the completion time. Now, we have a 25 now. There's a building on Jackson Avenue that started right after. Nine-story building, they finished. They started right after. The building is done, complete. 9-story building. We have a building, this is not even a building, it's a house. And it's just been, it seems we could have just knocked the thing down, build a new one and finish in no time. The reason this concern to me is our kids. Summertime, anybody can find something out to do. But wintertime, they don't do well. And this is where we are not doing well. And I'm saying this with all the emotion into it. We are not doing well. My expectation, Commissioner, was we can work out with YMCA until this project is done. Our kids go there
For free,
for free. Or if they have to pay the same thing they would have paid
through that.
through the St. Mary's Park. How many years been this? 3 years, 4 years?
Since 22.
And even 25 is not guaranteed. This is where my concern as a parent is. And this is not, I'm not not take this personal. I'm just taking a concern as the community. Nobody is talking about it, but it's really something that's killing us right now. And coming in here and giving us this presentation all the time, is not really helping us in the sense that we have kids in the community that need to go somewhere. They have no place to go. Summertime is great. You have all those things, and I really appreciate that. But wintertime, where do we put them? This is where our problem is. I thought YMCA was great. We can work out a deal with YMCA. But a parent in this community paying $56 a month. Can you imagine that? You're not eating. You can't feed your kid. You're gonna pay $56 for a child to go to YMCA. That's a luxury. Let's be honest, that's a luxury. I myself cannot pay that $56 every month. I use what you call it? This one around the corner is $10 a month. Planet Fitness. No, let's be honest. That's where my concern is that you're giving us 2025, 2026. What else is gonna come after that again? We had we had the same conversation 2024, 2023. They keep pushing. My question is, I'm speaking as a very naive person. How come a construction to this magnitude started? When you do the RFP, people come in first, take a look at the place. Okay, what is in the wall cannot be seen. I get it. But we got to the point where it took 2 years to open the wall to see where the water. You still showing me a water flood in a basement. Is this the water I just got now or back then?
Back then.
Back then. So I'm assuming that this should not even been coming up again at the presentation today because that solution should have already been resolved. Meaning what the solution to that problem, because it took so many years to get to that should be resolved. That's where my concern is really. Because what else is gonna come out in 2026 so we can push this again for another couple of years? No fault to you. This again, it's a project, that's the way it functions. But to me personally, and the community agree with me, we have to find a way to explain to the community why is it taking so long. We have a Betances across the street. They do the best they can to accommodate. But they have no pool. They have no. When they have too many programs, there's nothing that can happen. They have one small basketball room, you can play there. This is where my concern is, really. And I'm sure if any one of you live in this neighborhood, you will understand where I'm coming from. Because this is only playground we have in this whole South Bronx. This is the only one. Somewhere else they have many other things. But anyway, so I just, if anybody else has a question.
She's gonna respond to what you said.
Hmm?
You're gonna respond.
Okay.
No, they're gonna respond.
In terms of the length, I mean, unfortunately, I know we've said this before, but working in the public sector is completely different than the private sector. It's just, we are bogged down with so many steps when you're spending capital money. And so when we have a change order in construction, there's so many steps that we have to go through between getting the consultant, the design consultant money so that they can design this additional change. That then takes time to get that registered, to get them on board. They give us the product, then we have to negotiate with the contractor. And it's just such a slew of different problems. And that's the difference between the private and the public sector. And unfortunately, with these reconstructions, which are not just happening in Bronx, we have a few, we have one in Manhattan, we have one in Brooklyn. These are happening. We are unfortunately going into these buildings and finding things that we didn't know were there because we open up the walls. And that's the biggest problem. So we have looked at this, we are trying our best, and we've looked at partial reopenings for you guys, that it just wouldn't logistically make any sense, and we wouldn't want to put the public at any risk of safety, any safety risks. We know how important it is for you guys. And it's unfortunate that this is taking so long, but we don't have any other way of speeding it up than we're already doing.
Right.
I get what you're saying, and we've been dealing with this again for years. And it's true, everything trickles down. There's a process. It's all about capital funds and everything money is allocated. I get all that because I'm part of some of the budgets that happen in the city. It's frustrating because we need to think outside the box and do something for the community in the wintertime. We got to come up with a solution. I like the idea we could partnership with the YMCA in our community. If there's a hope of a snip of a chance that we could partner with them and have them accept the prices that the rec center does,
They have a tax credit.
or a tax credit. If you could look into them, Commissioner, you could let us know how we could go about advocating for it and going over there and talk to somebody, because everything is doable. It's just a matter of who we can approach the situation to.
So no one from Community Board 1 has had a conversation with the YMCA about,
No.
We have.
We do?
We have had a conversation, but we understand that the comment about, I'm sorry, Commissioner. So we have had a conversation about whether or not the YMCA is interested, given the fact of where we are capital-wise with our recreation center, given it the ability to offer discount for folks who consider one, and that they're willing to have an extensive conversation once we have a conversation offline with your office. So,
so if you can connect me with who you're speaking to at the Y,
yes.
so we can have that conversation together, we can see
Right.
how we can move forward.
Sure.
Because I haven't engaged the YMCA, but if you've already had that conversation, I'm happy to continue that dialogue.
And I'll be available. Support, yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful facility, but I can't tell them exactly right, respectfully.
And then the last thing to my question, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
I was looking at the outside for the building envelope. Now, is this still an ongoing situation about the water leakage going into the building itself when you were showing it to us? The building envelope?
Yes, yeah, it
It's
hasn't
still-
been repaired
It hasn't
yet,
been
yeah.
repaired.
It's in design.
The design is, it's complete, and we're just getting it over to the contractor.
Because all of this started happening when you started changing things and everything, and everything started coming out, right? Or because of the weather when Ida hit.
Well, there's different water infiltration.
Okay.
There's the one where you see the boilers.
Right.
That's from Ida.
Okay.
That is storm water infiltration. Then there's water infiltration
Right, that's what I'm,
because it's not properly, the envelope has been compromised, like
With
just
time.
like, over time.
erosion and
And we,
everything.
and we need to, reinstall, proper waterproofing.
And that's where we're at now, trying to get a new design and everything to get that done.
Correct.
Cool. The last thing that I was saying is that I'm glad that you guys actually went to France and got those bricks. I remember that glass and it's a beautiful look in the building, so I'm glad that to architectural specs that it's there. So thank you on that. That's what
Thank
I.
you for seeing the
welcome.
silver lining.
Yeah, silver lining.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner, for understanding the passion that we have had since my tenure here at the Community Board and your tenure at the Parks Department. Understanding that this is a major project and understanding why it's major, not because the recreation center is not open and it's something to keep pointing at, but we take it at the Community Board as a public safety issue. There, in the district, there are certain neutral territories where likely crime or issues are not happening. And St. Mary's Recreation Center is one of those places where we appreciate the chief's this conversation about where they have interacted with over 17,000 plus individuals, because it shows that there is a district that's thirsty for recreational activities, chief. So I'm sure that when that backs up, that you will probably pick up from your number 7,000, because there's a community of safe recreational activities thirsty for that interaction. I want, and again, talking about public safety, about it being a neutral space, I want to ask a very direct question. And the city of New York has had issue with public housing where there is the public housing is in horrible shape in certain areas throughout the district, and it is our concern or our thought that it is because of the years of disinvestment, whether it is the administration, whether it is our elected officials or other, that do you believe that unfortunately you are going to be facing out of the 6 recreational centers that you are in charge of or more, that because of likely capital disinvestment over the years, that you're going to face similar issues in your other recreation center that's going to leave you with gaps and delivering recreational services in the district?
I can appreciate the question, but I think we're at an advantage at this tenure because we are actually in the process of designing 2 new recreation centers for the borough of the Bronx. So, and those are fully funded. So we're looking at one at Walter Gladwin Park, formerly East Tremont Park, and one in Soundview Park. So I feel like we're at an advantage, right? Yes, we've had a little bit of setback with the St. Mary's Recreation Center because of the year that it was built and all the water infiltration and the erosion issues that have occurred. But I feel confident that we're moving in the right direction. We've recently reopened St. James Recreation Center. There's Owen Dolan is still closed. It has some work to be done. WBO is getting some renovation, but it's open. Did I miss any?
No, Hunts Point is not in need of any sort of capital project at the moment, even though they get a new HVAC unit. Kwame Toy recently got a new HVAC unit. It doesn't really need anything as far as the roof goes or anything like that. So we're in a decent shape with most of our recreation centers. But the issue that we come across, and one thing that's come up with St. Mary's, is we have old facilities.
Yeah, I'm sorry, one more time.
Old facilities.
So what year was the center originally built?
Yeah, I was gonna
I
ask
think this
that.
one was 54.
54.
Ah, 1954.
The drawings are from 1948.
I didn't hear the clear answer.
1954.
54.
No,
48.
The drawings are from 48,
48.
so add a few
What?
years.
So if you consider a facility that old,
Right.
48.
It's the first indoor recreation center in New York.
Oh, it was? First.
So I'm asking this why, because they're tracking then, and I'm not looking at more earlier administration. I'm talking about the years. If you talk about when Nike was built, at the same time in the 1950s, 1960s, we talk about the unfortunate disinvestment, the conditions that our residents have to live in NYCHA, the conditions that our schools are in, the conditions that are all of our capital projects. I'm speaking to that because I want to be able, because I'm into solution driven. So whether a campaign needs to be driven that says that we want to speak to, you always can appreciate more money. So we appreciate opportunity to be able to drive to whether it is making sure that we provide proactive capital pieces to this stuff. Am I preaching to the choir a little bit? I don't know.
No.
A proactive intervention to say that this is something that needs to happen. And including not only our Recreation Centers Commission, we're also talking about playgrounds. We're talking about everything that you're passionate about. You spent most of your career looking at on an ongoing basis. And so as we look at the work of our community board as your partners in government, and that are we putting the right resources behind it? Are we encouraging our elected officials and our colleagues to be able to make true investments? Because if we are looking at ways to deter violence, to provide adequate recreation, there's not only young people use it. We know we have seniors who use the adequate piece. We have all these things, and chiming off what the chair was saying is that unfortunately our young people and our families are being forced to make so many decisions with the limited resources that we already have in our community. And this is where the passion comes from of that day in and day out of hearing how we can find neutral territory for our young people to positively engage with each other, because I believe that our generation has lost because of COVID, the interaction with each other, our cell phones, our computers, are all being, do drill rapping or do social media, and no one can communicate with each other anymore. No one's able to play a good one-on-one anymore. Some of our bodies have started to think like that, and so we want to make sure that we are working to help encourage that as much as possible. And yes, look at equity as we look at our other resources in the other boroughs and whether or not that equity is following through with the borough of the Bronx. We have to be a borough of standards. Our chair talks about that. Our committee chairs talk about that, about where the standards are. And we want to be able to give you the attention you need and the fire you need in order to take this back to your colleagues in other boroughs and say how that can be matched easily. The next thing, because I want to talk about, when I talk about equity, the council member talked about looking at recreational programs as it looked at in other boroughs, where she funded it in a program, so my council member Ayala, she mentioned she funded a particular recreational activity in the East Harlem side, and how it
Thomas Jefferson Rec Center.
Right, and how it looked pretty different to what was delivered in the borough of the Bronx. And I don't know whether or not the recreational activities, I'm not talking, this something she mentioned, I have to go back to our minutes and look at it, but how do we match what is happening in other boroughs, our colleagues in our recreational activities, and that's happening in other boroughs as they're either council member funded or either matched? Are we looking at, bar none, to make sure we have the best opportunities and recreational activities available for our constituents, whether it is in a rec center or whether it is available in mobile units or whatever, so that we are being first place in those things? And that may be a question for the chief or the commissioner to answer.
So I'll start by saying that we pride ourselves in providing the best services that we can in the borough of the Bronx, very much so. Like when we compare to different programming in the other four boroughs, we definitely work hard and strive to ensure that we're providing everyone with the best service that we can. So when we're planning these events, we bring our A team all the time. I mean, I can let Chief Coates speak to it because his team is the one that does the planning for the family days and the events that you're talking about that are funded by the council members. So
I would just say that I started in this borough in 2019. Councilmember Ayala's allocation has not decreased in any year. And typically, when people are not satisfied with the product you give, the funding drops. So I'd be interested to see exactly what the difference between the services in East Harlem are versus the services in the Bronx. I will say, based off of the allocations that she's given us over the years and the plan that we've done with her office, we provided movies, we provided silent discos, we provided family day carnivals. So as the commissioner said, we try to make sure that we do an excellent job of providing those programs. We haven't really gotten any negative feedback. Perhaps it's less of a qualitative question and more of a particular type of event.
Sure. Yeah. So that's what I'm asking. As I was asking, are we looking at our colleagues in Manhattan and we're saying, hey, what you got over there?
Well, yeah.
We're gonna make it best over here. Like, what are we doing to see how are we either one-upping as much as possible? We're gonna go a little challenge, take that out there with your colleagues. One-upping our colleagues in other boroughs to say, I mean, I know that some boroughs has friends of groups and then have so many other opportunities of how they raise money, how they raise resources. That's amazing. We're working to look at developing and continuing their Friends of St. Mary's group, and we're working really hard with that. And so I just wanted to make sure that we are always setting the standard to being the best borough for one who's spent most of the time. And I know that commissioners you enjoy our passionate conversations and interactions, and so she's so it's not always smiles and giggles, but sometimes but it's passion, right? So we appreciate that. No, because we are all colleagues who take this every day to find what's going on. My last thing is about,
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I just want you talked about equity,
right,
and being able to know what resources are available.
Sure.
I'm going to turn it off to my chief. So we can talk about Vital Parks, because I think Vital Parks is a way for you to understand what's being forward, and the tool that you're discussing is available.
Thank you, Chair.
Vital Parks, we understand that a lot of people don't know what's available to them, and Parks took that into consideration, and they created a tool. It's called Vital Parks, where you can go online, you can put Vital Parks in Google, it'll take you right to the web page, and it'll show you what's available in your community. You can put in a street address, it'll show you the block, and you can select on the left-hand side, it'll tell you different things. If you have a recreation center in your neighborhood within a certain 8-minute walk from the address that you put in, do you have a dog run? Do you have basketball courts? And it'll show you the percentages that are served in each community board. In addition, it'll show you the communities that have gun prevention programs, and and it will show you pools in your area, and it shows what type of parks enforcement you have in your parks, whether they counted by 15 minutes patrolling in each park, so you'll see the percentage of the service that the Bronx is getting. Furthermore, you can zone in on each park to see the grades that they're receiving for each park. And it's a very fair grade. They use the same inspection method throughout the whole city. So you can see how the Bronx is comparing, and your community board is comparing to other community boards and other boroughs. So you can see how the equity is distributed across the boroughs. A big problem that we see is that people don't know what's available to them. And this tool is showing you what's available. With the Vital Parks, we had an initial $3.1 billion investment, which we've used throughout the city to renovate our playgrounds, parks, green spaces, recreation centers, and you can really see the progression. Right now, we have over 102 projects in the works for the Bronx alone. So there is a lot of equity, and we do take pride in what we do in the Bronx.
I want to add one more thing for you, Mr. Chairman, is that we are fans. We have wrote strong letters to New York Ocean Parks. We joined the campaign to make sure that if Bronx Department gets 1% of the city overall budget, how much more amazing stuff you can do. So we have wrote strong letters of support to the administration, to our elected officials, and to make sure we advocate for that. And it's an ongoing campaign. We continue to fight for. We know that is a momental lift for you and your team for the citywide. Talking about how if you just had more investment, how much more you can make to build a further park. We know that we also work constantly to make sure you have the adequate staffing positions to help keep cleaning and so on. This is all things, all priorities for us at the community board. I'm sure your team tells you when they leave our DSC, they'll leave it enlightened. But we're going to continue that advocacy, and I think the chair for giving me the leverage to be able to ask questions to the commissioner. And thank you to your team for coming out and chatting about this today. Thank you, Chair.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure, go ahead.
This upcoming Monday, the 21st, the borough president and the commissioner of New York City Parks will be having a presentation on Vital Parks at Lincoln Hospital at 6:30. So if you guys are interested, we can make sure that we can send you the flyer and you can RSVP and sign up
When is
for
that?
yourself to attend.
Monday, the
Monday, the
21st.
21st at Lincoln Hospital, 6:30 is the start time.
PM, right?
Yes.
Doors open at 6.
But please register because
Yeah,
it's
I mean-
limited seating, so you would
Yeah,
register so you can.
RSVP, and we'll make sure we send over the flyer to you guys.
Well,
We have it already. I
Oh.
can distribute to the board.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I just got one last question.
No, go ahead.
Okay, when you guys discuss, the prices that the community has to pay for the rec centers, is that citywide? Is it a set price for the whole city?
The price is the same at every recreation center across the city. The tiers are the same. So what we do is we break it up into packages. There's the free package, which is everyone from, I guess, 2 to toddler or baby
Right.
up until 24, that's free. And then the only differentiation after that is whether the center has a pool or doesn't have a pool.
Okay,
And then there's discounts for persons with disabilities and veterans. We try to make sure it's reasonable and we don't arbitrarily make those prices. I believe if memory serves correctly, I believe those prices have to be discussed, not just at the Parks Department level. I believe that's run past City Hall and the City Council as well. So we don't just make it up. And it has to be
okay.
uniform
And it's
throughout.
across all 5 boroughs, right? Okay,
And also
perfect.
your membership at one location is valid at all locations.
Do they go by your income or they don't ask none of that information?
They don't do it by income.
Thank you so much.
Right, something that I wanted to, you cited a lot of good stuff. One thing that shocked me this summer is while I was riding my bike in the park, I saw there is a container. It's like an office where people come and train how to ride a bike, those that can't ride a bike. Fantastic, excellent, but no one is showing up because nobody's aware of it.
And the free helmets, you guys
Because-
get out there.
Because what's happening is that I would have thought that if you have all those new programs, right, your first stop, once you finally conclude that it's going to be open to the public, will be targeting community board, bring those issues there so that we can transcend that to the community. Now, how many of us will sit down and say, let me go Google the park, see how many steps I can do in the park. Nobody does that. Because you know why? We got too many people to deal with, too many things to deal with in this life today, right? But if you had designed to come out with all that new program, you come to the community board and say, hey, these are the new design, these are the new program we have for the community.
Like scan it?
Yeah, for whatever reason, but bring it to our attention. I'm telling you that bike thing, my wife can't ride a bike. And I've been trying to get on so she can get a bike. We can ride together, but she just can't. I didn't know there was the city has a group that come in the park to train how to ride a bike, and they provide the bike too.
Bike New
But
York.
They were sitting there.
Like New York, that's
I passed by 3 times and came back and said, "What are you guys doing here?" They said, "We're here to train people how to ride a bike," but nobody knows about it.
So I'm surprised
Which
because
sounds
normally,
great.
sorry to interrupt, Chair Ambrose, but Valerie normally sends out the flyers when we have programming. So I'm not
No.
sure why you didn't get the flyer for
Never
Bike
got it.
NYC, but we'll circle back. Bike NYC is not a parks-driven program. We partner with Bike NYC. They get a permit, they come out, they program, you have to register. But normally we share their information,
Because
widely,
they have to
especially
get
the
a permit
community
from you.
board, right?
They have the permit to do that.
They
So
have to get a
Bike
permit.
NY programs are out of St. Mary's Park, they program out of Van Cortlandt Park, and they program out of Crotona Park. So those are 3 parks that they program out of in the borough. But I'm saddened to hear that it wasn't shared, so we'll tighten that up.
It
And-
can
and you-
sometimes be overlooked.
Right.
But like I always say, let's don't, you remember when commercial advertisement used to be standard, where bank only open to 2 to 3 o'clock, and on a Thursday they go to 5 o'clock. Until one day TD Bank said, hey, people can go to the bank on Sunday. When they opened, remember, people were kind of like, what the hell is this? But guess what? Now, every single bank is opening Saturday. They were not opening before, we all
And
know
they stayed
that.
open later.
When we have all these banks around here, they can close at 3:30. Everybody's trying to get to the bank before 3 o'clock, except Thursday that they close at 5 o'clock, 2 hours extra. So we can change the conventional way of the way things has been done. bring things out in a different mode. Now we have a social media, all these things that can entice people to go look for certain direction. Because you come in and you say you come out with all those beautiful things for the park. If for the past 10 years I have gone to that park, didn't see anything, I'm not gonna go look for new thing until you bring it to my attention. That believe one thing I can tell you is St. Mary's is cleaner. I mean, I wish I liked it. You see that? No, I'm telling you that because I go there all the time. So it's cleaner, it's well kept, but there's nothing perfect. But we need to let you know what is good. Okay? But those little extra activity, please bring it to community board and have them bring it back down to the community because people listen to the community.
So Stephen, you have the flyers for the tennis programming and that was shared?
That I got.
Okay, because we have tennis also that's going on.
Yeah. Well,
I just want to make sure that the program,
The thing is that, but one thing that if you wait, now that I talk about tennis, I have not seen a tennis program for kids there.
we can partnership, so they can report back. I'll check in with the team
Yeah,
that's doing
please.
it.
Because the reason I say this is that let's don't make it a luxurious thing. Let's make it a community thing. Because the park there, every time I pass by there at the tennis court there, on a Saturday and Sunday early morning, there's a gentleman that does a program in that park, right? And the rest of the time, and if you play certain type of sport, every time you pass by there, you always look, even if you have nothing to do, you just look and see. I have not seen a kids program in there. Which again, I could be wrong. Maybe I passed it at the wrong time, but I have not seen it compared to Crotona, for instance.
I see it.
Where you see it all the time. And these are kind of little things that I would think that if we're going to partner for like a tennis, we need to go to the center and talk to kids, tell them there is a free program, there's all these things. Kids conventionally, if you're not used to do certain things, even when it's open to you, until somebody bring your attention, you're going to figure out that's not my thing because you didn't know what's available. That's all I'm saying. Let's just change our way of communicating with the community. When you come out with new program, let's do the reverse from the way we used to do it. That would be very helpful.
I'll circle back with CPF, with City Parks Foundation, because I know that they share widely and they partner with the schools across the street, and those youth are using the programming, but I'll circle back with them to confirm. And we will definitely make sure that we're sharing the information, even if it's just sharing like the Back NYC link, because we don't set the dates, they do. So that might just be showing you the link to their page so you can share it widely, because their programming changes. We don't control the sign up. We don't control their programming. So I would hate to send a flyer that's outdated or that information. So we can think about the best way to get that information out to the community.
Do you have pickleball in any of these places? I'm sorry, that's the office.
So we have pickleball in Hillendale Playground in Crotona Park. We have pickleball in WBO, Williams Ridge Oval. We have pickleball in Orchard Beach, and there is one more park that is escaping me. Is it Riverdale? There's one more park that's escaping me.
Just want to make sure I'll be going to Crotona Park then.
And then we have programming specific for pickleball, so I'll let the chief speak to that.
Well, I was gonna just say we will have programming at St. James Park. We recently hired a playground associate who has a background in tennis. He's learned pickleball, who's gonna be offering it. He's just getting his feet wet. We have to do a little bit of orientation.
Okay.
And then he'll be out there to provide pickleball at St. James Park as well.
I'm glad I asked. Thank you.
Of course.
See,
Thank
we
you,
can always, communication always make a great relationship. Because, when you create your own perception mentally, you live in it. Until you open your mouth, then somebody know what you mean. And somebody may sit there with a solution to what is bothering you. And again, forgive me, you think I'm very harsh on that saying thing is because it's something that passionately get into us. And our parents, our communities, they're not talking, but every time you mention St. Mary, it's like you took away something that I was, but good job. When we're done, I think we're going to be happy.
Yeah, when you do that ribbon cutting, we're going to be celebrating.
No, seriously. We didn't even know that building was so bad shape.
And so old.
I have no clue that it was that in bad shape. The only thing I didn't like there, when you go to the gym section, the metal, the plastic on the metal was being gone from maybe 1960s. No, serious. And then when you go to 111th Street on 2nd Avenue, you think you're in your Planet Fitness. The way things are clean, I mean, news and everything there. I mean, we get on a bike here. But then, listen, overall, it's gonna be great. You're gonna enjoy it.
Right.
You'll have a better fitness room experience, trust me.
Hmm?
The fitness room will be better. We
Yeah.
purchased some equipment.
Remember, that's presidents. This was in 1940, 46, 48, and now it's gonna be like
1948, that changed a lot of things now in our mind from the day. I'm serious.
mine too.
Maybe if I knew this in advance, right? the emotion that I put in it probably would have been half of it. Because,
Next
No,
time I saw
serious.
the year that it was.
yeah, I'm telling you, I didn't know that building was that old.
I didn't either. I used to go there all the whole 70s. I was there. So imagine.
And that's where I learned to swim, as a matter of fact.
Me too.
That's
A lot
where
of us.
Taekwondo. I did there. I was a black belt in there.
I learned to swim there, taking my kids swimming, because, swimming is not something that we grew up doing in Africa. I mean, I grew up in the mountains, so water was something that you gotta go far to get it. All right, so if anybody has any more question or anything to add,
Thank you so much, Commissioner, because this was a great eye opener now to most of the things that I've had in the back of my mind. Now that I got a chance to have it a one-on-one with the team, I feel more comfortable now when there is a vote or anything that needs to be done henceforth. I have an open mind now on this. Thank you so much for that.
We truly appreciate the partnership and we'll continue
thank
promoting
you
for the
coming.
community.
And
So thank
you're
you.
always available. That's one thing that
Yes.
this one city agency that I always like to walk in, and I don't make an appointment to walk into over there when I'm complaining when I got something to worry
No,
about. She got some-
open door, open it up.
She's got some amazing, is one funny.
Yes.
This lady never said no. I figured it out. No, seriously. Who called funny, right? She never said no, but she always find a way to accommodate you.
Right.
Even if it's not gonna work, when she call you back, you think it's gonna be positive, but the way she say negative, when she hang up, they say, damn, she said no. That was called customer service. That's what's called customer service. And I really, and I'm serious. I mean, I won't be saying this. I didn't benefit from it. She does a great job in terms of dealing with the community, what we call it. Because when people call, if they don't get satisfaction, they always call me. Because I run a lot of sport program in the community for the past 14 years, soccer program and stuff like that. So when they go in there for permit, they got problems, they call me. So when I call in, I say, "Fine, listen, this is a straight shit." Anyway, thank you so much, Commissioner, for
course.
coming. Really appreciate you coming in here and spending the time with us. And if anybody has any question, nothing, then you can just we get a motion to adjourn. We're there.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I
I
second.
second. All right. Thank you. Thank you. This is only power.
So I have a question.